Hey guys and gals, got another one for you today. Sorry for the late video today, but I had to go to work early, so I didn't have time to make it, and I fell asleep pretty early last night. So it is what it is. I know it's the last video, so it's pretty important for the series, so I do apologize for that. And also, I don't know if this recorded very well. It's very pixelated on my replay video, so quality there might be not that great. I'm hoping that when it uploads without the pixelation, but we'll see. 50 TP, 2.9 heavy Polish. This line is pretty interesting. The stock guns are pretty garbage, but honestly, what stock guns aren't garbage? These kind of are standout stock garbage guns, but we'll stop talking about stock garbage guns. And then they have an option for like a fully upgraded, and that actually makes it for very inaccurate, high alpha, long reload guns. But when you get to tier 6, and then I believe it's the same on the 7, and the 6 and 7, I believe, and I could just be speaking on my butt here, but I believe I liked the smaller option gun that was available. Just a better reload, better gun handling, and when you talk about effective DPM, like DPM is just a number of how fast your rate of fire is, but if A, you can't pen your shot, and B, you can't land your shot, and C, you can't pen the shot that you landed, then it lowers your DPM, right? As long as it's like consistent, because RNG is still in there, so it's gonna mess up everything. It is what it is. If you like the high alpha damage, I prefer generally high alpha damage, but I need at least some good gun handling to be able to make it work, and those just didn't do it for me. I hated the tier 6 the first time I played it, but then when I went back to it to try to ace it, I realized that I was using the wrong gun. So that's important when you're moving up tiers. Just because there's an upgrade doesn't always mean it's actual upgrade. So we got a Yank Tiger here. Gun depression is a little awkward. By no means is the gun depression bad on this tank. It does just kind of feel a little awkward. But this tank in general is one of my favorite tier 9 heavy tanks. If you need a brawler that can just smash faces in, this is a good one. It's a good overall mix. It's not like a motion where it's so heavy that it can't maneuver around the battlefield. It actually maneuvers pretty well. It isn't a race car, but it gets the job done. And the turret, I mean, if you get hauled down in this thing, your top caps are kind of exposed a little bit, but if you just give them a little wiggle, it makes it really difficult for them to consistently pen you. The hull, if getting shot by premium rounds, is just worthless. But if they're shooting AP rounds, they got to make sure that they hit the right spots. So, to me, it's a better STI, and I love the STI. I think the STI is a great tank. The trade-off is just you get the little bit of mobility for a little less armor on this. That's the trade-off. So, to me, the mobility is more important, but the fall in armor is not far enough to really make that big of a difference. 75% crew. So far we're up to 2100 damage, 200 assist, 800 blocked. Not a bad game, especially with the 75% crew, which all the tier 9 heavies that I played had them. Mostly just for consistency, to make sure that one tank doesn't have a crew advantage over the other. Now we're going to face hug this Emil. I believe he's out. Nope, he had one more. He's going to leave me on a sliver. Emil 2's hull is garbage, so I was going to be able to get a shot to the shoulder plate. However, my T-34 came over and finished bomb. I only have 2 mediums left. The Tier 7 I thought was really fun. The Tier 6, when I went back to it and put the other gun on there, I thought it was fun, competitive. What else? Tier 8 is like a poor man's IS-3. Armor isn't as consistent. We jump off. I didn't realize that there was rocks at the bottom. I thought I was just going to dive into the water. So that was kind of embarrassing, but you know, whatever. We like to have fun, so victory jumps are important. So look at the stats: 2,800 damage, 200 assists, 1,200 blocked, XP earned 1,043. That is good enough. But to make it to the end, we're gonna have to have a really good game. Now, I wouldn't say this is a really good game, but it's a good game for Tier 9 heavy with a 75% group. We ran the front line, we pushed, we traded our hit points, we did what heavies need to do. Maybe we push that flank out. So let's jump into the next battle here. Maybe. Apparently I didn't cut that soon enough. Ran out of things to talk about. Alright, this map has popped up a few times in the heavies, and I'm not a big fan of this being a heavy tank unless heavies go with me around to EF2, but generally they don't, and I'm left there on an island by myself, and the whole red team goes in there to destroy me, so it makes it pretty miserable. But when your team comes in here and then the opposing team comes into this little choke, it is, in my opinion, absolute madness, but it's so fun. Just because everybody's trying to trade and make sure they land their shots. Now there's 3 Artie here, so this is a really bad position to be in. Generally Artie can smash this corner pretty hard. You see Artie's already shooting, he knew where to aim. I'm gonna look for shot, but I can't really see, I can't make him out. Looks like I can see the top right corner of his tank. That's not gonna be enough. Number detected, I am assuming that's Artie. I almost had this thing 3 marked and then I cocked it up and I don't know where I'm at right now. I guess maybe, I don't think I do look at it at the end, but I really stink at 3 marking tanks. I just don't have the discipline to worry so much about damage as I do winning the game. So I trade usually too early and then end up getting tossed out of the game. I mean, there's definitely good games I have. For my aggression, when the aggressiveness pays off, it's huge, but it'll balance itself out with, like, me being patient and staying right here, rather than driving around the corner. I would have got absolutely wrecked. So E75 breaks my track. It's going to take a while for me to put this back on. So I'm hoping I can get it on before Artie hits me. And then I get retracked right at the last second, so I decide to fix my track, and now I'm going to back up. It's an interesting battle. It always bothers me when the tanks go around the 9-0 or the 9 line, 0 line when they drive into the water. And there's Artie pooped for me. When you drive around the 9 line, really you're setting yourself up for disaster. Now, if your team has the middle, then you drive around the 9 line and you're going to be flanking them. However, if your team does not control the middle, then driving around the 9 line, they're just going to be able to turn around and deal with you. Much like my guys are down the 5 line, they're able to just turn around and deal with the tank in C7 as well as like D8. Team slowly works through this. Right as the 704 is trying to set up a shot onto the E75, the M103 goes over and face hugs him, which I thought was pretty ridiculous. Unless he was trying to chase the damage there. Just a heavy and an arty left. The heavy's on the 9 line. You see their 9 line push didn't work. I've definitely seen the 9 line push like win this map, but it doesn't happen very often. Generally, if you win the middle and then get support from E2, F2, there's not much that can flank you if you have tanks in EF2. But generally I'll go to EF2, and if I don't die because the red's all in me and my team doesn't help me out, then, well, let's talk about the stats. 3,400 damage, 2,500 assisted, 1,600 blocked, 2,000 earned. In that match, we only got 867 XP, so that was kind of a bad game. We did pick up 2,200 damage, which is fine. But yeah, that map is definitely tricky, and for some reason lately, my team doesn't go where I want or need them to go. But you just have to be adaptable and work what your team gives you, right? Complaining about it isn't really going to do anything. So now we get Scorpion Pass, standard battle, start me on top, which I greatly appreciate because this is not a fun hill to drive up. Like I said in previous videos, you just drive up to like the B2 area, B3. In my opinion, that's where the choke is. And that is where we're gonna head. Alright, so I like to play this hill up here. It's probably not the best heavy position, however, if I go wide with my heavy tanks, generally already makes me pay heavily for it. So I didn't want to go over there, even though I do have a lot of support, so it probably would have worked. I'm going to try to push this dead tank out there, so if Artie shoots me, hopefully it's the dead tank. And then also I'll be able to use them for cover. However, it's not really pushing very well, so we might just scrap this idea. Alright, this position also is generally full of arty, so you gotta be careful here. I'm gonna get pretty impatient at some point, and I'm just gonna decide, you know what, let's just drive over there. They have a ton of tanks on the 890. And at this point I'm like, okay, this thing is not going to move where I want it to. Let's just come over and shoot this Conqueror in the side. And then give him a nice ram. And he's like, oh, hey, 50 TP. And I'm like, you ain't going to pen me, buddy. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Let's go. Let's dance. You see how long the reloads are. People really hate the DPM of these tanks. I just missed my shot there. That was embarrassing. That's what I get for auto-locking. Alright, so I thought they were going to push up and shoot this conch in the side. Unfortunately, they did not. So I am left to have to try to kill him. Unfortunately for me, my teammate gets him. But it is what it is. Alright, so generally what happens, once you win this, just drive back to your base. There's going to be 2 idiots that are trying to cap. And then there's going to be like 2 more that are up on the K line, just overlooking the cap. And really those players, in my opinion, are probably newer players, because they look for the path of least resistance, and generally that's how I was when I first started. If I could avoid, I shouldn't say that, I've always been aggressive. I was all gung-ho, push it, get to the choke, try to beat the 6 tanks with my 1 tank, get destroyed, complain about my teammates that they don't help me, and then had to learn and adapt to actually just wait for them, and then don't over-push, things like that. That was my gameplay, my play style. I mean, there were definitely times where I kept driving and I never ran into anything, so I'm just like, okay, let's try to cap, because we're losing 9-1. But this cap is pretty tough to cap unless nobody from the team comes back. So you can see that 3 of us came back to defend, the rest of them pushed forward. And I really don't like pushing forward out from the choke, because the problem with that is all of the tanks on like E0 can snipe across that open area, and you trade a lot of hit points to take up map position. Whereas if you come back to your base, you can clean the base off, and then you can move to wherever you need to at that point. Chances are it's going to be down the K line and then up to 0 and kill the whatever is left up there. So this is the saddest game. We only get 1600 damage, probably because we were pushing that dead tank for so long, and just a lot of driving going on. 900 blocked. This one doesn't really feature the 50 TP. I didn't get my nose into the grindstone fast enough, so that was unfortunate. Alright, so end game, 5,000 damage, 2,500 assists, 2,600 blocked, 2,800 XP earned. Those are just good numbers, and that's kind of what you get with the 50 TP. It is a slower heavy tank, so if you don't get the right situation, you're going to have a game like this, even though I could have done a little bit better just with my tank positioning, and I didn't. So I could have done a little bit better, but generally that would have just been a lot of driving either way. But yeah, 50 TP. I love it. I think it's one of the best tank in that line, to be honest. Alright, so let's take a look, see how all the tanks fared. First of all, Conqueror gets top dog in damage, 10,570. Can't beat that. We aced it. That was obviously fan favorite. Conqueror is a beast. In assist damage, we got 5120, which I'm not a big fan of. However, it makes a lot of sense because with the autoloader, you can keep people locked down, tracked, make them use their repair kit, and then shoot them again, even though the inner clip reload is slow. For block damage, we got the 705. Honestly, this tank is just a beast, as long as you're covering that lower plate. And even when you're not, if you angle it and they don't shoot through your drive wheel, that thing can block a ton of damage. Then we got the Emil 2 for XP earned, almost 3,500, and that's because we won 3 games in it, and just had really nice overall damage games. We almost got close to the Conqueror in that. Then we move into the Wizard 120, and you may ask, why did I pick the Wizard 120? Well, when it comes to overall averages, which are across the bottom, that's the average damage that the tanks did, assist, block, XP earned. It was almost beating all of them. It missed block damage by 200. And then it ended up second with total amount at 17,406. And I'm not going to do the Conqueror twice. Plus, we aced the Wizard, so I felt like it needed some love. And then finally, the AMX 51 had the biggest impact, so it tied the 5120, the 257, and then had a less average ranking than the Wizard 1-4, but it won all 3 games. So that's why I chose it for best impact. And those are going to be the tanks that I play. I think I'm going to do 5 games, drop the worst one, and see which ones do the best. That's all I got for you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.